All right, next part of this budget report is Tim McGinnis. Tim McGinnis' report.
You have in your packet the financial report for the month of April. The total revenue was $802,270. We did receive, as I highlighted in the packet, we did receive transportation and special education reimbursements, $154,000. That's the second payment of the year. There normally are 4 payments in a year. This is the second one from the state. The third one will probably come in July and August, which is what we've experienced before, where it comes late. And the fourth payment, we may not even receive from the state. They've already said that they're not going to make the last general state aid payment, which for us is $31,000. We'd normally get that in June. We're not going to receive that. And they may take that additional $147,000 and not make that payment either. So those are just a couple of the items there. Total revenue for the first 10 months, $28,228,000. We're at about 96% of budget. The monthly expenditures were $1.9 million, and the year-to-date expenditures are about 78% of budget, $23 million. That would be expected based on the fact that in May we have all of the final payrolls for the certified staff, so that number in May is going to jump up significantly higher as we get towards the towards the total budgeted numbers for our expenditures. You have in your packet.
Tim, Marianne, are you able to click on this sheet, or do you have this? Just so it's up.
Page 25 in the board book.
Tim, and this is something I just wanted to touch on, the payroll. That is something that's been obviously going on here for a while, or that we pay all the, even though the teachers get paid through July 30th.
Correct. They
get all 6 checks in May.
They get all the checks in. Well, at the end of the school year. Last year was in June. This year it's May because the school year ends for the teachers.
So we do lose some interest from paying all that money out.
Correct.
Is that in the contract?
It is not.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Nor is that stipend question about paying them for their stipends year-round, but they, in conversations, that would be a change in working conditions. Because they would change their compensation of when they receive their checks. And so that's definitely something we would address in the next contract. Unless I can propose it again to legal counsel, or the board wants. But
Have we brought it to the legal counsel?
We have. I brought that to Todd in the beginning of the year when we were looking at the stipends.
Now the payment of the payoff.
He felt that was similar, anything dealing with payoff of past practice, but I can check again. Because I've asked that question. I mean, I don't think that's a lot of money, but it's probably, I don't know, what would you project in interest that we lose because we...
Well, we're not making much in interest. I mean, you saw that a couple months ago when we received our interest payment. Right off the top of my head, I don't.
Well, if you get 1%, let's say we get 1.2% interest. It's 0.1% a month. It's 1 month early. How much is the pay for that you're talking about? Is it $2 million? $4 million?
526.
25%.
What'd you say? 5 million?
Well, no, they'd be the differential between what they should have been paid and versus the accelerated payment.
Yeah, but it's the difference in the interest.
24, it's a quarter. It's
probably
around $2 million.
It's
paying out.
$2,000.
Yeah, it's not major.
Maybe.
It's not major.
Okay.
And when school year ended in June, we paid it out in June. Now school year ends in May.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're paying it out in May.
I didn't know if the board was aware of that, so I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, Tim.
Also included in your packet is a sheet on the budget overages. It lists for each account the amount of the budget, the amount of the actual expenditures so far. the amount of that is over budget, and there's an explanation of it. The total on that is about $61,000. Over half of that is the ERO penalties, which we knew were going to be higher than budgeted. The professional services, which are higher. One of the major items is the money that we decided to pay to PMA to have them come in here, and also the legal fees that we've had with negotiations, as well as our regular legal fees. So just those three items alone account for over 50% of that amount that's over budget. Operating fund balance at the end of April was $9.6 million. One of the things that I also wanted to mention with regard to finances, this will be reflected in next year's budget, is that we did receive approval from the state for that maintenance grant that we submitted. That was where we requested $50,000 to come back to us in payment for the sign and the lighting, and they've approved that, so that'll be additional revenue for us for next year. There was also included in the packet was a projection.
Which page are you on, Tim? Because everybody's on the, most of the pages are numbered now, so what page are you? Are you on the 27?
He's on 28 right now. Board book 28.
That's our fund balance in the fiscal year 2012 projection in thousands?
Right, that shows in thousands the fund balance that we had in each of the operating funds and the bond and interest fund at April 30th. Projection on the revenues that we're going to receive in each of the funds for the last 2 months, as well as the expenditures we're going to receive. You can see that the ending fund balance for all of the operating funds was $5.1 million. That's about $267,000, I think, higher than what was budgeted. We are also going to we're going to have a negative balance in the education fund, which we actually which we budgeted for, and so during the month of June we're going to have to transfer some money from the working cash fund into the education fund to cover that. When I talked to the treasurer's office today, they asked me to put together a resolution that I would just pass out to you, showing you the resolution that we're going to have at next month's meeting, which is the transfer of that money from working cash into education next month, so that we cover the expenses.
That's a formality that we have to do?
We did it last year. We transferred $4.8 million. I wrote this resolution to transfer $1 million. We may want to look at transferring a little bit more to cover some of the expenses in July. We should get a better idea within the next couple of weeks of when the property tax bills are going to go out. The county has said that they're going to go out earlier this year, that they're going to go out July or August. But I'll need to take a look at the expenditures there that we're going to have in July and August to see that 1.5 million, or 1 million may not quite be enough, but I just wanted to get this to you just to give you the idea that we are going to have to make a transfer next month.
Which area is a triennial this year?
Which area is the triennial?
Yeah.
I don't think it includes us.
What about Chicago? Does it include Chicago?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
So you're projecting a deficit of close to 200 this year. From your projections, is that accurate based on the fund balances? Or what we budgeted for?
We budgeted for a $920,000 deficit. The deficit's going to be closer to $640,000. If you look at that next page, it shows.
So the 267 is in what? The difference between budget and, I'm on page 28.
29, operating fund balance is 630.12. The 260, I think he's
267 is the difference in the operating fund balance at the end of the year. Instead of $4,861,000, we should be at about $5,128,000.
Okay.
That's the 267. The
So he's
page,
subtracting those two numbers, that's his 267.
Okay.
and then the page after that shows the projected revenue, expenditures, and operating fund balance. Again, the $5.1 million. We should come in at about 24.5% of expenditures, as opposed to the budget that we had of 23.35%.
That's the cash projection?
Yes.
Tim, does that answer your question that you originally had, or?
My original question, I had two questions. One was our policy of 20% reserve based on cash or accrual? And Tim said cash, and I said, if we're basing on cash, shouldn't the PMA number show
Be
based
cash.
on
Reflect
cash?
that,
Because
yeah.
otherwise it's inflating what the reserve number
Percentage is
is.
going to be.
And your projection's based off of cash, right here on this report?
Yes.
Did you send questions? I didn't get any questions on Monday from you. Did
No, I
I?
didn't send you any.
So where's the, I thought we were going to send out a copy of the board to send out for questions.
I was busy, I called Kevin yesterday.
Cash.
Okay.
I didn't see any questions from anybody else, so.
Okay. All right, anything else, Tim?
No, not unless there are any questions.
Any questions for Tim McGinnis?
Yeah, I have two questions. The first one goes to the, and this is helpful, is looking at the, and I don't have the page numbers, because if you go one way, you don't get page numbers.
So what's the title on the page?
It's the operating fund balance, and then it says fiscal year 2012 projection. Shows we'll have,
This one?
no,
Fiscal year.
Page 26.
thank you.
Page 26.
If
Page
you,
26.
Kevin, if you go the way that you suggested on here, to click on the attachments, it doesn't show the page numbers, just so you know.
Okay.
The 328, you're projecting that we'd be 328,000 over in revenue, revenues than what we originally anticipated, Tim. But doesn't appear to take into account that you just reported we're probably going to be 185,000 short on general assistance from the state now.
Part of that, right, we're going to be short that money that is due to us this year, but they're not going to pay us this year. But we also received money this year. Again, this is on a cash basis. We received money earlier in the year that was really from 2011. We also, not only for the reimbursements, but we also received payments. I think if you remember, we received a couple of payments from those ERA grants, which actually were 2011 revenue, but we didn't receive them until 2012. So when you're looking at it on a cash basis like this, even though the revenue isn't budgeted, you're picking it up this year.
So we've already taken into account the fact that now you don't think we're going to get these additional payments from the state in the
Correct.
numbers you provided us?
Correct.
Oh, okay. And then the second thing I asked is if you could, I'm still completely confused on this debt service. I recall, maybe I don't understand it right, that on the debt service, the county just collects what we owe. I think you told us one time, right?
Yes.
So if you look at and you passed the details out
Same
last
page,
time,
same
not
page.
this time, but I brought them with. So I don't, unless you brought what we passed out on the details last meeting, it's not available.
If you look at the same page, though, I think what Mr. Walsh is referring to is that we're only going to have about 61% collected of what we budgeted for bond and interest.
So,
So it'll be about 632,000 under budget of collection.
so the first question is, did we just budget wrong and we're collecting what we should have collected?
Yes, if I take the levy that was passed in December 2011, and I go through the calculation that the county goes through in terms of the payments for us, what we should be receiving, what we should have received in November is about $3.2 million. The budget is $3.5 million.
Okay.
So the budget is higher than what the calculation would be if you look at the tax levy and you look at, and go through the county's calculation, which is, and that's, we go back, I think, to around the March board meeting, we talked about how the budget was actually higher than what the tax levy would have said the collection should be. And I think that's the issue in the bond and interest fund primarily, is that the budget was just too high.
And that's the debt, that's 30, right, the debt when you say bond and interest?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other thing, so even though it shows we're going to come under, we're coming what we should have gotten, right?
Yes.
We just budgeted wrong. But the other thing is, so it shows that we realized on the revenue about 6.1 million for 30, but we only expended to date, we only budgeted 5.9, and we expended 4.7. So how are we in terms of the budgeted expenditures versus an actual versus what we anticipate now?
Yeah, we have the June, we make our payments on principal December 1st and June 1st. The December payment also includes the interest, but we're going to make a payment on June 1st, so it's obviously not reflected here.
Okay.
Of our last principal payment, which I think is $1.1 million.
It says 1.192
Yeah.
on here. So actually, we're going to...
We're going to, on expenditures, we're going to come in right at budget.
Okay, and if we already collected 6.1 and that's 5.9, so we're actually going to, the net revenues less expenses, we're going to be 200,000 over then, right? Okay.
Any other questions for Tim? Thank you, Tim. Good
Does
job.
this report help the board? Is this something
Hold
that we
on,
want?
Laura has a question. Yeah.
So Tim, on this nice detailed page you gave us with the overages, they're still going to be accounted for, right? They're not going to, even though some accounts are over, there are some that didn't spend everything and it's going to even out in the end?
In some of the, in the departmental accounts?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, in some of them, obviously, we're over in the postage, we're over in early retirement penalties. Those, there aren't any offsetting accounts in the department to offset that. So not in every case, no.
But it looks like a lot in our athletic department, but that should offset itself, right?
Well, this is what you're seeing in the athletic department is primarily transportation. Correct? I think, well, on the back page, yes, when you're looking at the dues and fees and that, yes, that will even out.
All right, any other questions for Tim? All right, Tim, again, great job. Thank you very much. Kevin asked, is this a good way to look at the report? I thought it was. I thought it was pretty good.
So
Great
do
job.
that quarterly?
Yes. Yeah,
Is that sufficient?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that would also be helpful, I'm just throwing this out here on the board to tell direction-wise we want to go. I think when we close out the year, looking at where we're at, where there were any issues on overages on the department basis, or, you know what I mean? Does that make sense or not?
Yes.